Hello everyone, glad to be back. Today is 18th of January, now it's 10:30 in the morning Moscow time. I'm Levan Gudadze and this is my first update for the day in which I'll share all the main news that are making headlines in Russian media outlets and Russian language pages on different internet platforms. Second update will be a little bit late in the afternoon on my Patreon page, although in between I will upload on main channels on YouTube and Rumble next episode of headlines, and this evening on Rumble channel I will have a live stream which will feature next episode of Telegram Reports program. It's gonna be a busy day, but anyway, let's talk about news now. And first of all, short summary of the situation on Ukrainian battlefield. According to reports of Russian media, Russian military channels and defense ministry, there was no crucial changes. There was no crucial changes on majority of the sectors of the front line, although several military channels did report that in Krinky area in Kherson direction, Russian forces established control over the central part of the settlement, where Ukrainian forces were holding to small foothold for quite a while, and this small foothold was only achievement that Kiev regime managed to have during this so-called Kherson offensive. And well, Russian Defense Ministry did not yet confirm information that Russian armed forces established full control over the central part of the Krinky, and Ukrainian units withdraw to the right bank. But most likely today we will receive confirmation of this news. Let's see how they will goes for this moment, because there is no official confirmation from Russian side. I will say that maybe several small groups of Ukrainian units are still somewhere in the Krinky area on the left bank, and most likely will be neutralized in immediate future if they are unable to withdraw and then to go back to right bank. In any case, we would not be mistaken if we will say that this so-called Kherson offensive of Ukrainian armed forces has ended miserably, as I predicted from very beginning, miserably for Kiev regime. And timing, by the way, is quite interesting. I remind you that yesterday Zelensky was still in Davos, if I'm not mistaken, where World Economic Forum is taking place. And this news that Russian side established full control over the central part of the Krinky was reported yesterday afternoon. And I was thinking about this topic. Is it coincidence that news break up exactly when this Davos forum is taking place, and when many delegations, especially from the Western countries, are talking about Ukraine? Is it coincidence or just or planned operation? And well, who knows? Hard to tell, of course. But I would not be surprised at all if General Staff of Ukrainian Armed Forces, Zaluzhny, ordered Ukrainian units to flee Krinky exactly yesterday to kind of set up Zelensky right up front of his Western bosses. Is it a possibility? Maybe. Let's see what kind of news we will receive today. But this so-called Kherson offensive is ended predictably with total disaster for Ukrainian armed forces. I remind you, dear friends, that for the last 2-3 months, in Kherson direction, Ukrainian armed forces lost about 2 brigades at least, if you combine casualties and lost military equipment, without achieving anything at all. Just a small foothold in Krinky. If that can call the achievement, then I don't know what achievement means anymore. Let's talk about some other sectors. And well, when it comes to Zaporozhye and South Donetsk sectors of the front line, in Zaporozhye, main hotspot is of course still Orekhov bridgehead and Rabotina settlement and fields in between Rabotina and Verbovo, this village here. And many channels, many military channels are predicting that it's only a matter of hours, days maximum, and fight will begin in Rabotina itself. And because situation for Ukrainian units in this area are very difficult, extremely difficult, it's highly unlikely that Ukrainian forces will put up some serious fight for this settlement, for control over the Rabotina, and quite possibly they will withdraw the units from this settlement. Let's see. There was many predictions about Orekhov bridgehead. Initially, everybody was talking about highly likelihood that Russian side will conduct pincer offensive and will encircle Ukrainian grouping of forces in Orekhov bridgehead, but it did not happen, at least until now. So, you know, predictions sometimes can be correct, sometimes not. Let's see if Ukrainian forces will be able to put up some serious fight for this village Rabotina or for entire Orekhov bridgehead, because eventually I guess they will be forced to withdraw from entire bridgehead here. When it comes to South Donetsk sectors of the front line, main hotspots are still of course Premyevsky salient on the western side and Novomikhailivka settlement on the eastern side. Also, by the way, Russian forces are conducting operations in between Ugledar and Novomikhailivka in these fields, let's say, and quite successfully, and are basically cutting all the lines of, or closing in to cut all the lines of supply and support for not just Novomikhailivka settlement, but Russian forces are closing into Paraskovievka, Konstantinovka, and Ugledar garnison of Ukrainian forces are under risk to lose supply communication, basically, with this grouping of forces of Ukrainian army that are concentrated in Konstantinovka, Novomikhailivka area. Situation is under full Russian control. Initiative is in Russian hands all along the front line. So, and by the way, no rush for Russian side. No need to rush. Russian side can take time and step by step conduct the demilitarization of Ukrainian units all along the front. In Donetsk sector, main hotspots. So we have 3 main hotspots at this point. Where first is Georgievka in direction of Kurakhova. Krasnogorovka is becoming hotspot, as I predicted, by the way, and Russian side is increasing pressure in this direction also. And of course Avdiivka and flanks of Bakhmut. No crucial changes at this point. Russian side just increasing pressure all along and little by little, step by step, improving current positions. It's matter of time, and eventually Ukrainian units would not be able to withstand such a pressure, and Ukrainian defense lines will begin to crack. And at that point, probably we will see some decisive actions from Russian side. When it comes to northern sectors, from Seversk and Liman to Kupiansk, similar story, increasing pressure on Ukrainian units. Increased artillery strikes, air strikes, drone strikes, you name it. But yet again, on the ground, there is no crucial changes. So Russian side actively using current line of contact with minor changes to demilitarize as many Ukrainian units as possible. And as I said quite a few times before, once we will see that Ukrainian defense lines are beginning to collapse and Ukrainian armed forces are collapsing, then gonna be time when Russian armed forces will begin large-scale offensive operations. I don't think it will happen this winter. Initially, like months or 2 months ago, if you ask me, I will say, yes, there is a likelihood that we will see large-scale Russian winter offensive. But as time goes by, of course, we have to constantly, go through our own understanding of the situation with a critical view, and if there is necessity of it, correct our opinion. And therefore, I will say, if you ask me now, I will say that it's highly unlikely, in my opinion, that we will see large-scale Russian offensive this winter. Exactly because there is no strong indicators that Ukrainian armed forces are collapsing. Not yet. They will, but not yet. Maybe they will withstand this pressure, increased pressure, for another like several months, maybe 3 months, maybe 5 months, who knows. But yet again, Russian side has all the time its needs, so they will try to use current line of defense as much as possible to demilitarize Ukrainian armed forces, to demilitarize Kiev regime, so that once large-scale offensives begin, when Ukrainian defense lines will collapse, there will be minimal casualties and minimal damage on the ground. This strategy definitely makes a whole lot of sense to me personally, at least. Let's continue with some other news, and TASS news agency is reporting that, according to Russian Defense Ministry, air defense systems on duty shut down Ukrainian drone over the Leningrad region. And Leningrad region is, by the way, of course, area around St. Petersburg city, cultural capital of Russia, as we say sometime about St. Petersburg. Also, Ukrainian drone was shut down over the Moscow region while it was approaching Moscow. There are some different accounts, but in Leningrad region, drone was headed towards oil terminal, according to some reports. And drone that was shut down over the Moscow region was, of course, heading towards Moscow. Also, by the way, Belgorod was targeted by Kiev regime once again. Russian air defense systems neutralized majority of missiles that was launched by Kiev regime towards Belgorod region and Belgorod city, MLRS missiles. But unfortunately, at one instance, maybe because of the debris did fail in that particular area, maybe one of the missiles managed to go through air defense lines, but one female was injured as a result of this night strike of Kiev regime. Let's continue, and I remind you also that I did share information a few days ago with and photo and video on my Telegram on main updates that Russian side is building, implementing some shelters, concrete shelters in Belgorod city itself, so that because of this high intensity of shellings from Kiev regime, and of course these steps to protect locals will play its good role psychologically. People will feel more safe, of course, and practically, because who knows, maybe tomorrow Kiev regime will conduct massive shelling of central part of Belgorod, like they did on New Year's Eve, and these shelters will definitely be useful. Also, RIA Novosti's report that Bundestag, by the way, Parliament of Germany, did vote for a topic of providing Kiev regime with Taurus long-range cruise missiles, and this initiative did not receive support of Bundestag. According to reports, even members of Green Party vote against this draft, which is kind of surprising because Greens are as bloodthirsty as neocons, if not more. And that's why I was kind of surprised when I see on some reports that several members of Green Party in German parliament did vote against providing Kiev regime with Taurus missiles. But dear friends, this is not because Scholz government has such principled positions that they don't want to escalate with Moscow. No, it has nothing to do with it. Scholz government will do whatever he is told to do by Washington, by bosses of German's government. But what happened is that there are internal conflict now in Germany between different parties and members of parliament from current coalition, ruling coalition in Germany, was not happy that this initiative was from opposition party initiative to send Taurus missiles to Kiev regime, and that's why they vote against it. So I guess if this initiative was from ruling coalition, then very same people will most likely vote for sending those missiles into hands of Kiev regime. But whatever the case, this is the results of the vote. Bundestag, at least for now, formally against deliveries of Taurus missiles to Kiev regime. But I remind you, dear friends, that a few days ago there were reports that principal decision in German government already been made, most likely under orders of Washington, to send those missiles to Kiev regime. And if that's the case, then it's only a matter of time when we will see introduction of Taurus long-range cruise missiles to the battlefield. And to continue topic of Germany, I did spoke about this topic slightly in my yesterday's update in headlines, in headlines episode, if I'm not mistaken, and in second update, of course, on Patreon. And well, Germany is to double defense aid for Ukraine this year. Germany will shell out more than 7 billion euros, which is 7.6 billion US dollars, on military aid for Ukraine this year, Chancellor Olaf Scholz has said. And initially, by the way, Germany was planning to allocate 4 billion euros for Kiev regime, so they almost double this military aid. I guess at least well-informed part of German society not gonna be happy with this development, but as I said quite a number of times, Scholz and his government, they are representing occupation regime, US occupation regime. They are not representing German society, even though they are called government of Germany. So what you're gonna expect for such individuals? Anyway, let's continue. RT is reporting that Macron made quite statements about Ukrainian conflict, and let's read here. French President Emmanuel Macron has announced new deliveries of long-range missiles and bombs to Kiev, while insisting the West cannot let Russia win the conflict in conflict with Ukraine. He added that he will visit the country next month. Other photo op for Macron. Speaking at the press conference at the Élysée Palace in Paris on Tuesday, the French leader reiterated that his country will continue to assist Ukraine, aimed criticism that France has not been doing enough to help Kiev. Macron said that Paris would send 40 Scalp air-launched cruise missiles, which have a range of more than 250 kilometers, as well as hundreds of bombs. These bombs, by the way, are equipped with a kit that allows them to increase the range and the accuracy. So yet another step towards escalation with Russia from French government. And well, it is quite obvious at this point that current ruling elites of the West damage relationships between Russia and Western states so much so that I truly don't think relationships between the countries can ever recover. Not in 10 years, not in 20 years, not in 100 years. I don't think Russia will ever be able to trust European states again. Majority of European states that supported this Nazi and terrorist regime in Kiev against Russia. This is quite unfortunate, but that's the reality. Generations will change here in Russia, but as we did not forget Second World War, new generations will not forget that almost entire Europe was fighting against Russia and doing everything they can to kill as many Russians as possible. That's how this whole topic gonna go down in history, by the way. So unfortunately, I think relationships between Russia and the West are finished forever, especially with Europe, by the way, and therefore give it 20-30 years and continental Europe will truly become a totally irrelevant and forgotten province of or area of Eurasian continent. That's fate and destiny of modern Europe. Like it or not, but if you analyze all the information that is available, that's conclusion that you're gonna have. With Russia, Europe definitely had the chance to maintain its position as a major player in this geopolitical desk of the chess. Without Russia, not even slight chance. Anyway, let's continue. And I'm not happy about it, by the way. Let's be clear here. I would definitely prefer to see European states as a strategic partners to Russia and allies, not the enemies, for God's sake. But the ruling class of the West did what they did, and unfortunately societies in the West didn't oppose this madness of their leaders. Vast majority of societies, of course, they are well informed part of societies in Europe, in North America, in Australia, New Zealand, you name it, in collective West countries, that understand how damaging these current policies of the leadership of West is, but they are minority in their country and cannot really influence anything at this point. But let's continue. RT is reporting that China turned down Zelensky, according to Politico. I did report about it yesterday also. I reported on Telegram channel, and I spoke about it during the live stream on Rumble in Telegram reports. And well, what Zelensky and his associates were thinking or expecting from China. Relationships between Kiev and Beijing began deteriorating long before special military operation began. Many people forget about it, but that's really the case. When Chinese investments in Ukraine's economy was basically hammered by Kiev regime under orders, I believe, of Washington. And after that, I don't think relationships between Moscow and not Moscow, but between Beijing and Kiev had even a small opportunity to recover. No. And in Davos, by the way, according to reports, Chinese Prime Minister Li Qiang shut down Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky's request for a meeting at the World Economic Forum. Politico reported on Wednesday, several days beforehand, Ukrainian official Andrei Yermak has said that the talks with China would be essential to push Kiev's controversial peace plan. Yet again, man, this is, I mean, who the hell is Zelensky, man? Why would high-ranking Chinese officials spend any time at all on this mass murderer and cheap puppet of Washington, man? What is the point? I don't think Chinese Prime Minister needs any media attention and any photo that he is shaking hands with Zelensky. You know. Anyway, let's continue. RT is reporting that U.S. House Speaker challenges Biden on Ukrainian aid. Well, I reported about it on yesterday during live stream on Rumble. House Speaker Mike Johnson announced at the press briefing on Wednesday that he will persist in his push for securing the U.S. border over aid to Ukraine. President Joe Biden summoned Johnson and the other congressional leaders to the White House in a bid to break months-long stalemate. Republicans had previously blocked Biden's more than $100 billion budget request, of which around $61 billion is to go towards aid to Ukraine, demanding stricter border controls for their support. Johnson suggested that a deal with the House Republicans over border control may not be enough, demanding concrete answers of what the United States' long-term plans in Ukraine are. Well, at this point, at least, it seems like House Republicans are withstanding pressure from military-industrial complex, from corrupt officials of U.S., including Biden's White House. But how long? Question is how long, because eventually, I'm quite sure, maybe not 61 billion, but 20, 30, 40 billion probably will be allocated for Kyiv regime, because this is the last big paycheck for U.S. military-industrial complex from this Ukrainian crisis, and they're not gonna miss this paycheck. They will use all the influence they have to make sure that this at least few dozen of billions will definitely end up in their pockets. Therefore, this story is not yet done. They will be these political games will continue for a while, and then eventually House Republicans most likely will vote to provide Kyiv regime with additional funds. And of course, we all know that vast majority of funds that will be allocated for Kyiv eventually will find its way towards bank accounts of U.S. military-industrial complex and corrupt officials. Then RT report that U.S. Head of U.S. State Department Antony Blinken did made funny and somewhat crazy statements in Davos. By the way, he's a master of making some crazy statements, especially for the last few months. And he said that world wants more U.S. interventions. And I guess there is no need to comment anything. After this sentence is enough to highlight how out of touch with reality and delusional U.S. leadership, current leadership really is. But let's read several sentences anyway. So geopolitical turmoil and the conflict around the globe have made the world's nations hunger than ever for diplomatic intervention from Washington to help deal with their crisis. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has claimed there is a greater premium that there is ever been on our engagement, on our leadership, in partnership with others, Blinken told the audience on Wednesday at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland. He added that Washington needs to reimagine its geopolitical partnership to resolve global challenges such as the Israeli-Hamas war. The top US diplomat made his comments as Israel bombardment of Gaza Strip triggers escalating tensions in the Middle East, and the Russian-Ukrainian conflict nears its 24th month. He claimed that many governments see Washington as a key to finding solutions. No, man. Many governments see Washington as a main threat and main provocateur of vast majority of world instabilities, of vast majority of hotspots on this planet. And this is true, by the way. Just take a look at any conflict, any political or diplomatic or any military conflict. Just scratch the surface and you're gonna see Washington there. You're gonna see this sick geopolitical interests of the ruling class of the West and US in particular. Is it not true? Of course it's true, by the way. And the world is sick and tired of this kind of US. Truly, world is sick and tired of this type of US that intervenes everywhere, usually with force, and tries to intimidate. US no longer understands what the hell is diplomacy even means. And this is true, by the way. This is complete true, and therefore, well, these people are very delusional, man, if they think that world needs more US, man. No. Not this type of US that have no idea no more what is respect and diplomacy. Anyway, let's continue. Blinken's, this is funny, by the way. Entire this Blinken's trip was somewhat laughable into that Davos, and ended also in laughable manner. So Blinken's Boeing breaks down once he tried to flee from Davos, and guess from Switzerland, and guess what type of plane he was using. Boeing 737, of course. Of course, man. So yet another blow for reputation of Boeing, I guess, worldwide. And truly, I mean, if you are head of avia company anywhere in this world, and you have to buy some number of planes, you will definitely, I don't think you will even consider to buy any plane from Boeing at this point. You will most likely pay attention to Airbus. And well, this is big for Airbus, by the way. Unfortunately, Russian companies not yet in the place to be real competitors to Airbus or even to Boeing, but well, sometime in the future, especially if Russian companies, companies in manufacturing of civilian aircrafts, and Chinese companies, by the way, will combine their efforts to produce next generation civilian planes and compete with Boeing and Airbus. I'm 100% sure they will manage to do it in fairly short time, 5-10 years, and they will be up there among major competitors to Boeing and to Airbus. TASS news agency is reporting that US confirms another strike of Ansar Allah organization on ship in the Middle East. This time in Aden Gulf. Genco Picardy ship was targeted, and Houthi rebels or Ansar Allah organization movement did made such a statement, did claim that this attack, and initially there was some doubts, but US eventually confirmed this information. And by the way, next information is also interesting and important. Of course, you all know, I guess, that Pakistan is called its own ambassador in Iran. for consultations. And also, by the way, this night Pakistan conducted missile strikes, according to some reports, airstrikes on Iran soil as a kind of response on Iran's strike on terrorists' bases on the Pakistan soil that took place 2 days ago. And during this strike, during this Pakistani strike, according to Iran, there were some casualties, killed and wounded on the ground, according to Iran's officials. But what is also important, that Pakistan targeted very same terrorist organization's base, very same terrorist organization that Iran targeted in Pakistan. So, well, I guess it's highly likely at this point that this Pakistani military operation was somewhat coordinated with Tehran, at least through means of intelligence services. And well, Pakistan did retaliated, targeted terrorists like Iran did, and well, I guess issue is resolved now. Islamabad could not did not notice this strike of Iran on Pakistani soil. Obviously, after all, Pakistan is a nuclear power, by the way, and therefore they did retaliate, and they also targeted terrorists. And I guess this issue there is no issues no more, or at least a risk of escalation between Iran and Pakistan. And I will say China most likely did play some role in to make sure that there will be no real confrontation between the sides. And next news is that well, a number of US congressmen are planning to visit Taiwan. I guess recent visit of former high-ranking officials was not enough for some provocateurs in Washington, and they are now sending current lawmakers. They're going to be Democrats and Republicans, I guess. This was reported by Financial Times, and well, how are you gonna comment this, man? How are you gonna comment this? We all know that Western ruling class is determined to escalate with China, escalate with Global East, and destroy basically China and Global East, Global South. That's what they want, because they see Global East, Global South as a major force that can challenge dominance of Western ruling class. So there is no need to, play games here. We all know what's going on. It's a Cold War. It's a Cold War, and Washington will make another step towards further escalation, sending these idiots from Congress to Taiwan. Okay. And of course, China will respond one way or another on this provocation. RT is reporting that Canada drastically reduces number of student permits to Indians. I did spoke about this headline in yesterday's program, headlines. And well, let me give you some numbers, by the way, here. According to Reuters reports, the number of student permits issued to Indians in the fourth quarter of the last year dropped by 86%, which is huge, of course, from 108,000 in the previous quarter to just 14,000 in the last quarter. Drastic drop, undoubtedly, and of course, this is due to diplomatic row between India and Canada. Although, what students have to do with these tensions between the ruling elites of the two countries? I mean, white students have to pay for this? I don't understand. So therefore, actions of Ottawa are, definitely wrong and mistake, in my opinion. But well, if Indian students, by the way, want to further, increase their knowledge and want to study outside of India, they can always come to Russia. They can always come to Russia, and there are thousands of Indian students in Russia. And by the way, they are one of the greatest engineers and programmers and mathematicians and scientists in the world. And if after studies they will decide to stay in Russia, well, great, even great news then, because it will benefit not just them personally, but also Russian society, Russian economy. So I don't know with what's going on in Ottawa, by the way, why they are acting this way. It's crazy, but it is what it is, man. Of course, students from India that want to, study, they will find the ways to universities worldwide. And it's Canada that will lose eventually, not India. Anyway, TASS News Agency is reporting that in Austria, by the way, statements were made that inflation in the country is due to sanctions against Russia. And also, by the way, a leader of opposition party in Austria, Gerbert Kickl, stated that financing Kyiv regime and is also part of it, and of course anti-Russian sanctions. I don't know what level is inflation in Austria now, but if this is an issue there that politicians are discussing, then I guess inflation numbers are not 1 or 2% for sure. And it's true, by the way. It's definitely true. Significant, not entirely, of course, but significantly, anti-Russian sanctions most probably influenced level of inflation in the Europe. I mean, it's too obvious, isn't it? Also, RT is reporting that German economy has lost its competitive advantage after abandoning Russian gas supplies. Vice Chancellor and Economy Minister Robert Habeck stated on Wednesday. So these guys know that they are damaging economy of Germany, they are damaging interests of German citizens, and still acting way that they do. So they're intentionally damaging interests of their own citizens, and they are openly saying this. They are openly saying this. The EU's top economy benefited from cheap Russian energy for over 2 decades. It relied on the sanctioned country, on Russia, for 40% of its gas imports before 2022, and was among the hardest hit by the supply reduction. Germany is indeed in a particularly difficult situation. Unlike other countries with which we compete, Germany's energy supply was largely built on the dependence on Russian gas. This has given us a competitive advantage in the past. It has been very profitable, the Vice Chancellor said at the Bundestag meeting. So I don't know, guys, what the hell is going on in Germany, but these guys are so emboldened or so stupid that they are truly intentionally damaging their own country, their own citizens. And they are admitting it openly. So they knew how important this close ties with Russia was for Germany, especially economical ties, and they destroyed it anyway. Knew perfectly well that it will hurt Germany badly. They truly are puppets of Washington, by the way. They truly are representatives of occupation regime, US occupation regime in Germany. That's what they are. And that's why they didn't give a damn about interests of German citizens, man. Kommersant newspaper is reporting that in Cyprus, by the way, media and local government did begin paying attention to the exodus of big Russian companies that were registered in jurisdiction of Cyprus. And this is big deal because these companies pay taxes in Cyprus. And we are talking about such big companies like, and this is companies that already left or are planning to left Cyprus in foreseeable future. And this is TCS Group, which is a Tinkoff bank, basically big financial institution in Russia. Also Etalon Group, developer, also retailer Fixed Price, also well-known retailer in Russia that has its stores, I mean, probably hundreds of thousands of stores all around the country. United Medical Group, Marsh Holding, Global Trans, and Marketplace, Ozone. Well, this is big names, by the way. Big names, and well, I can understand why this is a topic in media in Cyprus, because all these companies pay taxes there. I don't really understand why they decide to move. What's going on in Cyprus? But if Russian companies flee from Cyprus, then of course it will, one way or another, but hurt economy of island nation, and it will decrease, of course, tax incomes into the budget, local budget. VTB, by the way, also interesting news, and I will end this first update on this topic, that VTB, second Russian biggest bank, reported that in 2023 they sold 33 tons of gold to the private citizens, not to businesses or other banks, but to private citizens. And this is interesting in my opinion, because this information clearly highlights that society in Russia also not really trusts some other means of investments, and prefers to invest in gold. And this is trend worldwide, isn't it? This is trend in US, this is trend in Europe, this is trend just about everywhere. That people are losing trust in financial institutions, people are losing trust in stock exchanges and stocks of different companies, because many of them are increasingly inflated, like Microsoft or Apple or many others, by the way. And therefore, well, they prefer to invest their savings into gold, because gold will always be gold, will always have a volume. And other precious metals also, by the way, of course. And this is it, by the way. 33 tons, it's quite a number, isn't it? I'm not expert in this segment, like gold industry, but 33 tons, like, seems to me quite a lot of gold have been sold to citizens here in Russia. Great. You know, if I had savings, I will probably also invest. Not probably, for sure will invest in gold, but unfortunately, I'm not in that situation. But anyway, this is it for now. Quite short update, and I hope you will find this video interesting, and if so, please click that like button, leave some comment about any topic you like. More likes and comments will probably increase chances to reach wider audience, because algorithm probably does pays attention to this moment. And if you can, please share video with your friends. It will definitely help to reach wider audience. And if you think this project with several channels, with quite a few programs at this point, different programs, is useful, interesting, has some potential and deserves to exist in this field of news and political commentary, please consider to support my work with small donations through PayPal, Buy Me a Coffee, or by subscribing to my Patreon page. You can see links under this video in the description box or in the pinned comment. This is it for now. As I said in the beginning, a second update will be on my Patreon. page, second main update. Also in between, I will share next episode of headlines, and this evening, by the way, about 9 o'clock, I will have a live stream with the Telegram Reports program on Rumble, and I hope you will find time to pay attention to all of these videos, all of these programs, and I hope to see you on live stream this evening on Rumble. Have a great day and take care.